Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to our Shabbat evening stream tonight. We will begin our service on page 120 as we light the Sabbath candles. (120) of Mishkan Tefillah, that is, sorry, in case we have any new viewers. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this holy space in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. We turn to page 138 and 139 to welcome in the Sabbath bride. We sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and when we reach verse 9, I invite you to rise and face whichever way the Sabbath bride enters into the room for you, or the Sabbath queen. So at the synagogue, that's toward the front door for you. Maybe a window is open, it's more welcoming. Maybe you face still toward your screen where the Shabbat sounds are coming from. Or maybe you turn to your own beloved sitting next to you. Lecha dodi likradka hene Shabbat neka Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad Hishmianu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shem tiferet v'litfilah Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabelah Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat Ikrat Shabbat lehu v'necha Kihi mekor habracha Merosh mikedem nesucha Sov ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabelah Lecha dodi likrat kala Shabbat Nekam. Hitoreri, Kiva Orech Kumi Ori, Uri Shir Daberi. Kevod Adonai Alayis Nikla, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Shalom, Materet Fala, Kam Besimcha Betzola, Toch Emunei Segula. Boi Chala, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. We continue to set our intentions for this evening's prayer with a reading on page 145. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, unripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine sense my ways. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time. Even at unlikely times, through unlikely places, there is no place on earth without the present. And now we've opened up our hearts and our souls with our opening nigun. We lit the Shabbat candles and welcomed in the Shabbat Queen. And we set our intention with a reading. And now we are called to worship with a reading on page 147. There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nevarech, let us bless. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the times and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling darkness away from light and light from darkness, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name, ever-living God. May you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch Ata Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. Page 150. Ahavat Olah Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah umitzvot Chukim umishpatim Otanu limadeta Al Ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachreinu U'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei toratecha U'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed Ki heim chayenu Ve'orech yameinu U'bahem negei yomam ve'layla Negei yomam ve'layla Ve'havat ha'al tasir Mimenu le'olamim Baruch Ata Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael Ohev Amo Yisrael. On pages 152 and 153, we have the Shema, followed by the Ve'ahavta. I invite you to prepare yourself for these words of Torah. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod, Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibartam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'vlechtecha b'derech U'shachlecha u'vkumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha ve'hayu letotafot beinenecha u'chtatam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim v'hiyot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You are alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign and Savior. You deliver us from oppressor's hand and saves us from tyrant's fists. You work wonders without number, marvels beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You performed miracles for us before Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led your people Israel out from their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude and they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously. Mi chamocha b'ayim Adonai, mi chamocha neder b'kodesh, nora tehilot tosef eleh, nora tehilot tosef eleh. Malechutecha ra'u v'necha bokei adam, minei Moshe ze'eli, hanu ve'yamteru Adonai, yimloch le'olam va'ed, mi chamocha b'ayim Adonai, mi chamocha neder b'kodesh, lo tosefele, norati lo tosefele. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom, L'shalom, V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chayim. Ufros Aleinu Sukkah Shlomecha, Ufros Aleinu Sukkah Shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us safely wrong from right, O Adonai. Amen. 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 Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukkah shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 162. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat la'asot et hashabat לדורותם ברית עולם. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat la'asot et hashabat לדורותם ברית עולם. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat la'asot et hashabat לדורותם ברית עולם. Sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat la'asot et hashabat לדורותם ברית עולם. Ubayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat la'asot et hashabat לדורותם ברית עולם. Thank you, Juliet, for the woo. Facebook, you're sleeping on it. And now we come to the central portion of our evening prayer. We do not have a digital minion tonight, so we will open our hearts with the Kavanah on page 164 and take a few moments for silent prayer and meet up again on page 173. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Yehiyu l'ratson imrefi V'hegyon libi lefanecha Adonai Tzuri Adonai Tzuri V'gali Page 173. Disturb us, Adonai. Ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical, spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of the living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we seek you, wherever we live, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha lebadcha b'yir'ah na'avod. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of the day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one, whose mercies never end, O compassionate one, whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you, praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'el lehodot. Page 178. Shalom V'Yisrael Amcha Tasi Leolam. Shalom V'Yisrael Amcha Tasi Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon L'chol hashalom. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael L'chol עת L'chol sha'a B'shalom lecha. Shalom Yisrael Amcha Tasi Leolam. Shalom Yisrael And now we turn our thoughts to those who are injured, recovering from surgery, ill, or otherwise in need of healing. As I say the names on my list, please feel free to add any names in the chat for those of those for whom you are saying a Misha Berach. I have on my list Mary Kennedy, Rosalind Cantu, Mike Haug, Lori Perry, Nick Joliot, Ariel Batsluva, Rhoda Wessler, Skip, Kathy, and Jeffrey Brace, Rhonda Butler, Ricky Grant, Shoshana Bat Abraham, Nina Dornfeld, Juliet Arrighi, Leslie White, Ann Cohen, Charlotte Birch, Anita Ash, Joseph Matter, Daryl Swan, David Ray, David Harper, Doris Hudson Trujillo, Susan Smith, Mary Lou Manzelli, Gary Sullivan, Kevin Kossoff, Devin Kennedy, Burke Asher, Alan Goldstein, Harold Evanson, Pat Davis, and Philip Sessions. The Misha Berach is on page 371. And we hold in our thoughts all those in need of healing of mind, body, and spirit. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Imotenu May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom, all. This week, I actually chose not to write a Devar Torah of my own because I thought this one was much more important to share. As you might know, tomorrow is Juneteenth, and some synagogues are having various Juneteenth Shabbat services led by Jews of color. I did not think ahead enough to do that, but I am going to share this moral Torah. That's what Truah calls their Devar Torah every week that they send out. There's their, it's probably backwards for you, but that's their logo. So this week was written by a Black Jew by the name of Kelly Whitehead, who you might remember did a session for us in last summer's summer series lectures about Jews of color. So this is their Devar Torah for Parshat Chukat. As a Black Jew, as I prepare to celebrate Juneteenth, I am reminded of the power of collective memory. While the viciousness of racism has marked every day in this country since the first Juneteenth, the memory of that joy and redemption is pertinent today. The celebration has grown beyond its Texas origins to become a national part of Black consciousness, celebrating the day on which Black slaves achieved legal freedom from their oppressors. In recent years, it is entering white consciousness and showing up in the national discourse. Our history is a back and forth dance of successes and failures, liberations and oppressions. In Parshat Chukat, Moses hits the rock instead of speaking to it. As punishment, he will not enter the land of Israel, a setback for both him and the people he led. Although Abraham Lincoln gave his Emancipation Proclamation in 1860, the Confederate Army surrendered in April 1865, but Texas slave owners did not free their slaves until Union Major General Gordon Granger arrived in June of 1865 and ensured a peaceful transition of power. The following year, freedmen in Texas organized the first of what became the annual celebration of Jubilee Day on June 19th. As new citizens, Black men were elected representatives to the government in what became known as Reconstruction. However, their term only lasted a few years before white former slave owners rallied, passed Jim Crow laws, and stripped Black citizens of their rights and equality. Without reparations and long-term government support, the fall of Reconstruction in 1877 caused many former slaves to become trapped in cycles of sharecropping. The end of the war freed people from slavery, yet the country denied true justice and equality for people of color. The generation freed by Major General Granger did not get to see full liberation. The promise of equality during the origins of Juneteenth is yet to be achieved because of the effects of slavery remain ingrained in our society. In Parshat Chukat, Moses is confronted by the thirsty and rebellious Israelites. The Israelites wandered the desert for many years after leaving Egypt. They cried, "Why did you make us leave Egypt to bring us to this wretched place? A place with no grain or figs or vines or pomegranates? There is not even water to drink." To quell their anger and quench their thirst, God tells Moses to assemble the community and order a rock to yield water. Instead of commanding the rock, Moses strikes it with his staff twice. Moses was able to temporarily meet the needs of the Israelites, but the benefit was short-lived. He didn't really help them envision the promised land. Lost in the emotion of the moment, Moses couldn't keep the long-term view in mind. So too with Reconstruction. The journey is an essential part of the path to collective liberation. Juneteenth is a celebration of just one step in an ongoing journey. While the slaves of Texas were freed in 1865, the path to equality is arduous and ongoing. We do not always see the benefit of our efforts. Moses laid the foundation for freedom, but did not get to see it through because of his rash decision to hit the rock. The original celebration of Juneteenth in 1865 was a starting point. In 2021, we can see the role we all have in laying the groundwork for future generations. Unlike Moses' example, we can try to be thoughtful and intentional in our actions. As a Black Jew, Kelly writes, I view Juneteenth as a reminder of how far we have come and how far we still have to go. We can urge our government to provide reparations for descendants of the formerly enslaved and use our power to speak out against and undermine today's deeply rooted systems of oppression. We can call out forms of modern-day slavery and the mass incarceration of Black and brown people. We can be more cautious with our actions as long as we are taking part in the ongoing battle for liberty. Moses saw a problem and he fixed it in a way that was rash, irresponsible, yet effective in the moment. We can learn from our great leaders' mistakes. We can dig deeper and see the underlying issues of our racism in our world. Side note, this isn't in their Devar Torah, but all of those things that Kelly lists there are things that the Reform movement supports, and you can go to the Religious Action Center's website. That's, I think it's therac.org, and look at, just today they had, I got the push email from them about something to do with reparations, and they often lobby on behalf of criminal justice reform. So you can take those actions, as Kelly suggests, specifically as a Reformed Jew, through the Religious Action Center, and I highly recommend you do so. Anyway, in our own celebration of Juneteenth, we must see ourselves as a part of the continuation of liberation. White people can use the holiday as a time to learn about the racist systems rooted in slavery that support. White people can use the holiday as a time to learn about the racist systems rooted in slavery and support Black people in their celebration. God tells Moses to speak to the rock, but instead he jumps to action. Action is not a bad thing, it just needs to be thought through and correct. When it comes to the Juneteenth celebrations in our Jewish spaces, speak before you act. Even better, listen before you act. This is why I thought it was best just to share Kelly's words directly than try to speak to this issue myself. I encourage you to reach out to Black people in your community to best meet their needs instead of making assumptions. We cannot enter the promised land until all of us are truly free, and we can only do that through thoughtful and empowered action. On a local note as well, I was at the Racial and Social Justice Commission meeting for Prince William County last night, and they invited me to speak on issues of potential anti-Semitism, and the other sort of guest speaker, main speaker, was someone from a historic thoroughfare, which I wasn't aware of, is like a town within Prince William County that is, historically settled by freed slaves and Native Americans, and they are fighting for the rights to their land. There was recent desecration to a cemetery because of the age and the way that slaves, even freed slaves, were often killed in the 1800s. The graves are not well marked, so the land was bulldozed without attention, and so that's a local issue where our Black neighbors could use our support. So that's another thing to think about this Juneteenth. And again, that Devar Torah was by Kelly Whitehead, who is a rising third-year rabbinical student at Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion, a member of the Truah Board, and an alum of Truah's Israel Fellowship. They currently reside in Brooklyn, and again, if you'll remember, they did give us a wonderful lecture workshop last summer. So we are very grateful to them. We turn now toward our concluding prayers. The Aleinu is on page 586. Please nobody leave. I have exactly 10 in our digital minion right now. I invite you to prepare yourself for this blessing. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. My voice is scratchy tonight. We turn our thoughts now to those who are no longer with us in body, but remain with us in spirit. In addition to our lists, now my papers are all jumbled. Okay. In addition to my lists, I also have this week the Kaddish for Black Lives, which was written, I believe, last year, or at least it came to my attention last year around this time, during the racial justice uprisings of last summer. But in honor of Juneteenth, I wanted to read it again. This is written by the Jewish Multiracial Network, which is also sometimes known as B'chol Lashon. I think they're the same organization. Creator of life, source of compassion, your breath remains the source of our spirit, even as too many of us cry out that we cannot breathe. Lovingly created in your image, the color of our bodies has imperiled our lives. Black lives are commodified yet devalued, imitated but feared, exhibited but not seen. Black lives have been pursued by hatred, abandoned by indifference, and betrayed by complacency. Black lives have been lost to the violence of the vigilante, the cruelty of the marketplace, and the silence of the comfortable. We understand that Black lives are sacred and inherently valuable and irreplaceable. We know that to oppress the body of the human is to break the heart of the divine. We yearn for the day when the bent will stand straight. We pray that the hearts of our country will soften to the pain that endured for centuries. We will do the work to bind up the wounds, to heal the shattered hearts, to break the yoke of oppression. As the beauty of the heavens is revealed to us each day, may each day reveal to us the beauty of our common humanity. Amen. And now, as I do read the names for this week, please share any names in the chat that you would like to add. First year George Neal. Is that what we're in the first year, or it's a first year yard site? I'm not sure. Whoever's on the Ner Shalom account. Okay, well, I have on my list that this week marks the yard site for Alfred George Branstein, Frida Brandorf, Rosalind Heyman, Carl Pearl, Alex Kantrovich, Thelma Obenthal, and this week marks the first yard site for Arizona Breeding. We are still within the year of mourning for Fran Warona, Rick Grossman, Aura Alva Leon, Sharon Buell, Mona Mandel, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Patricia Michaels, Joe Davis, Kathleen Schindler, Jamie Betts, Neil Savage, Ann O'Neill, Bruce Schechter, Bernard Strassner, Ruth Sherman, Louis Aaron Honig, Jean Sullivan, Carol Rubel Magrum, David Nemero, Tom Lombard, Marion Finkel, Herbert Levy, Steve McGrew, and Lynn Steffen. And I didn't get a response from, I'm guessing, Jill, but I will say George Neal is also, we are also saying the Kaddish for him. The Mourners Kaddish is on page 598. Mourners and those who wish to join them may rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'alma divra chirukte v'amlich malchutite v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael v'agala u'v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitram v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlam Rabba min shemaya v'chayim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, v'imru Hu ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, Amen. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru, Amen. So now some announcements before we do Motzi and Kiddush and closing song. If I can find the closing song again, also. So let's see. Tomorrow night there will be Havdalah at 8 p.m. streaming on Facebook and Instagram. And then things kind of wind down. Next week, there are still Shabbat services streaming on Facebook and YouTube. But then in July, Friday night services will be YouTube only, as that was what we could manage tech-wise for our lay leaders. So I don't know if you get the notification the same way you do on Facebook, so you might need to remember and have the YouTube open at 7:30 in July. The first weekend in July, that's that Saturday morning, I will still be leading in-person service at the synagogue outdoors July 3rd, but all of the Friday nights throughout July will be lay-led and they will be on YouTube only. Wednesday. This coming Wednesday, June 23rd at 4:30, PJ Library is coming to Ner Shalom. Woohoo! So if you have younger children, please, please, please bring them. This is a free event. The link to register, they do want pre-registrations. Like if you don't register, you can't not come, but they want to know how many popsicles to bring, and we don't have critical mass, they might cancel on us. So please register. That link went out in eKibbutz. It's on Facebook. Please do that. There'll be a story time with a PJ Library book, and then popsicles and playtime for all children of all ages, but especially the 3 to 5 age range is who this is most directed to. So please register. That's this Wednesday, June 23rd, 4:30 to 5:30. In 2 weeks after that, Wednesday, July 7th, will be the Gan Teva open house. So if you don't have a preschooler, maybe that's not a program you need to come to, but please help us spread the word that that's happening so we can nab any potential students for Gan Teva. Okay, I think that's it. Like I said, we're quieting down for the summer. I am going to look for this song that I picked out and then lost the page for. And then we will do, there we go, Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim. Halfway through that prayer, I remembered another announcement. The membership meeting is next Sunday, June 27th at 11 a.m. on Zoom. I think that information already went out. If you did not get the Zoom, if you are a member of Ner Shalom, first of all, but you did not get the Zoom information or like the proxy voting slip if you need that and the budget, please email me or Heidi so that we can get that to you. June 27th, 11 a.m. Zoom. Okay. If I don't have an everything challah one week, Philip gets sad, so I made a sweet one for me and everything for him. There is a tradition that you're supposed to have 2 challahs on Shabbat, but I don't really know why. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Te'avon. It's kind of sticky from the sugar on top. Okay. Our concluding song is not in Mishkan Tefillah, but you might be familiar with it because it's a fun one and I pull it out every now and then. Hang on. And I was just flipping through my Shirenu and it flopped open and I was like, that's a good one we don't do often enough. So here we go. Wherever you go, there's always someone Jewish. You're never alone when you say you're a Jew. So when you're not home and you're somewhere kind of newish, the odds are don't look far, 'cause they're Jewish too. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Amsterdam, Disneyland, Tel Aviv. Oh, they're miles apart. Do-do-do-do-do. But when we light the candles on Sabbath Eve, we share in the prayer in each one of our hearts. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Some Jews live in tents, and some live in pagodas, and some Jews pay rent, 'cause the city's not free. Some Jews live on farms in the hills of Minnesota, and some Jews wear no shoes and sleep by the sea. That would be my mother. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And some Jews wear hats, and some Jews wear sombreros, and some wear keffiyehs to keep out the sun. Some Jews live on rice, and some live on potatoes, or waffles, falafels, or hamburger buns. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Amsterdam, Disneyland, Tel Aviv. Oh, they're miles apart. Do-do-do-do-do. But when we light the candles on Sabbath Eve, we share in the prayer in each one of our hearts. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Wherever you go, there's always someone Jewish. You're never alone when you say you're a Jew. So when you're not home and you're somewhere kind of newish, the odds are don't look far, 'cause they're Jewish too. The odds are don't look far, they're just like you. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. See you tomorrow night or next week. Have a wonderful, restful Shabbat.